Audio Jungle. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everybody. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. I'm Ika Rahmawati and one of students at the State University of Makassar in the Accounting Education Study Program with stamp number 18920410448. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about my idea in the article The Failure of International Accounting Standard Convergence, a Brief History. Strike 2. Abstract. The search to establish international accounting standard commenced in 1973 with the establishment of the International Accounting Standard Committee, or IASG, subsequently renamed the International Accounting Standard Board, or IASB. Number 1. Introduction. There were problems in making investment and trading decisions when companies produced financial accounts using their own national regulation. Academics attempted to identify the factors that influenced the nature of country accounting regulation. Although the academic effort did not offer any specific guidance on how to achieve greater accounting internalization, it generated discussion and encouraged regulators in several countries to consider solutions. The U.S. had a producer for rigorous accounting regulation with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, and Financial Accounting Standard Board, or FASB. In 1973, national accounting bodies from Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Mexico, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom and Ireland, and the United States established the International Accounting Standard Committee. In 1992, the three standard-setting bodies of Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States met to discuss some of the accounting issues confronting them. G4+1 addressed several accounting transactions from a strong conceptual basis. In January 2001, it was agreed that G4+1 group would disband. The G4+1 group cancelled its proposed future activity and submitted its current work to the IASB, a potential project. The IASB was established formally in April 2001. Number 2. The growth of internalization. It was not until 1988, after the IASC had issued nearly 30 separate standards, that the VASB public announced its position on international accounting. The declaration by the VASB for greater international involvement was met with questions by the IASG. They regarded the desired outcome was the worldwide use of a single set of high-quality accounting standards for both domestic and cross-border financial reporting. It is of course that the undeclared aim of the VASB was to ensure that U.S. accounting standards were to be recognized worldwide. One could question the declared involvement and role of the U.S., but undoubtedly international accounting needed a boost. Although the assumptions had been expressed in 1973 for accounting, international progress was slow. Given this limited resource, the assessment of the IASG was noteworthy. In retrospect, it can be argued that it was the interest shown by the U.S. that was the driver of the change needed to rejuvenate the search for internationalization. In 2002, the recently appointed chair of the IASB, David Tweedy, made clear his aim of spreading international accounting standards to the U.S. Tweedy set out the IASB's two main objectives as follows: 1. Convergence. 2. An enforcement project. And number 3. The Norway Agreement. The appointment of hers to VASB brought with it a commitment to convergence which complemented the objectives of the restructured IASB under David Tweedy. It was intended that the final agreed standard would be international standard and the U.S. would adopt them. The Norway Agreement set out the following aim of the two boards and the priority action that they intended to take jointly for the immediate future. The problem faced by the two parties in following the convergence route thus were probably underestimated. There was also the issue that seemed to be overlooked, that is convergence involving change to international standards meant that although countries that has already adopted them will have to make changes to their accounting practice. Many of the pronouncements in support of the Convergence project emphasized that the aim was to produce high-quality standards. The SEC 2000 stated that high-quality standards must have consistency, comparability, relevance, and reliability. Number 4. The progress of convergence. Following the Norway Agreement, the VASB and the ASB worked successfully on several short-term projects. 2002, the Norway Agreement was signed and the announcement of the short-term project both were working on jointly. 2006, the issue of roadmap. They shifted from the strategy of convergence standard as this was proving too useful and morphed to a strategy of developing new standards to replace the old ones. 2008, the issue of another roadmap. This was an update of the 2006 document but indicated that the U.S. will not adopt AFRH. The 2002 roadmap was met with considerable applause, but there were saying that the adoption of AFRH by the U.S. was uncertain. In 2009, the CEC issued its fiscal plan for the fiscal year 2010 to 2015. In 2012, the FASB and the ISASB issued a jointly agreed paper on accounting for financial instruments. Number 5. Success and failures. When assessing the history of the relationship, one can identify success and failures. The following example illustrates the progress that was made in some difficult area and the problem that still exists. 2. 1. Stock option. There was demand for several quarters for stock options to be expensed, but there were political hurdles preventing this from taking place. In June of 1993, the FASB issued an export draft on stock option that recommended the fair value approved EE option issued to employees will be recorded in the financial statement as compensation expense. The process of convergence brought about some changes. As FASB and the IASB have issued similar statements on the treatment of stock-based compensation, financial accounting and reporting has been improved. 2. Intangible asset. Increasingly, the most important asset for generation future benefit are intangible assets. The original regulation in the U.S. allowed companies to use one of two methods when making an acquisition, a. the pooling of interest or the purchase method. The first method combined the book value of asset and liability of the two companies to create a new balance sheet of the combined company as if it has always been one. The second approach, the purpose method, gave rise to goodwill, and the regulation at that time required goodwill to be written off over 40 years. The procedure is to compute the fair value of a business segment using the present value of future cash flow and compare that the carrying value or book value of asset plus goodwill minus liability. 3. Accounting for later. It has been argued that the effort to bring about a new leasing standard we undertaken more to keep the VASB and IASB relationship alive than for technical or conceptual relation. In March 2009, a discussion paper lecture preliminary view was published. The work began the deliberation of exposed draft lecture in January 2012. Although it can be argued that there are many similarities with the two standards, the fact in truthful convergence was not achieved. A standard must be universally accepted and cannot be structured to meet the needs of the U.S. Number 6. The end of convergence. The Convergence project had been fruitful with strong sense of rapport between VASB and the IASB, but division of opinion were becoming evident as the technicality of full standard convergence became more apparent. The message in the roadmap and other documents that were issued became less buoyant. The limited evidence available suggests that companies in smaller countries do not experience significant change on adoption of IFRS or Mutiny and Louisiana 2016 also the IASB has to satisfy a range of opinions to be able to issue a standard. Unfortunately, the Convergence project ended with a whimper in content, the commitment, and the Norway agreement had been met with public acclaim. That divergence is not only possible but is taking place. The pressure to make amendments to standard because of the need to convince efforts arose to fundamental change to standard. If the sole aim of the VASB was to introduce changes that were likely to meet opposition, convergence has been partly effective in achieving such goal. If the VASB was reticent on the full adoption of international standards, the IASB could see the benefit in the U.S. adoption them. More fundamental relation that the Convergence Agreement would not work, although it important in quality by some the principles versus rule conflict style exist. The IASB had made considered concessions, but argument could not be relied on change the conceptual framework. There is complete agreement that international standard should be high quality standard, but this them has not been defeated. There are many examples of countries making decisions that reject move to different forms of internationalization. Finally, our number 7. Conclusion. The share for International Accounting Relations Standard formally in 1973. The first standard setting organization, the International Accounting Standard Committee, or IASG, issued many sole standards, some of which are still appreciable today. In 2001, the formulation of the International Accounting Standard Board, or IASB, led to a shift in opinion. Despite the involvement of the U.S. at an early stage in the attempt to form an international body, the U.S. gradually withdrew. Considerable progress had been made with the Convergence project, but when on reviewed, the deep-seated barriers in is evident that complete convergence will be unobtainable. The share for convergence appears to have ended, and the U.S. has decided to follow its own course. Okay, that was an explanation to the main idea in the article, The Fire of International Accounting Standard Convergence, a brief history. I apologize if there is a word in the pronunciation, and I hope this video can be useful for all of us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.